5 years of consumer behavior evolution took place in 5 minutes.
Welcome to Velocitize Talks. I'm Andy North, and today my guest is Dick Wechsler, founder and CEO of Lockard Wechsler Direct. Dick, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. Happy to be here.
You founded Lockard Wechsler Direct in 1990, which is an eternity in the agency business. Tell us about your background, what led you to create your company, and what sets it apart in the marketplace.
Well, my background, it has no relationship whatsoever to performance marketing whatsoever. I was an art history major, and then I worked in public relations for many years. But what I learned when I was at Ketchum Public Relations, which was a great agency back then, was how to win business and how to service business. And then Arthur Lockard invited me to join him in 1991. He basically said, I have a nice small direct marketing agency, and I need somebody like you who's interested in taking it over, buying it, or I'm just going to close the doors. And I always had a feeling that I always wanted to own my own shop. I always wanted to work for myself. And I jumped off the cliff. I literally jumped off the cliff. I bought an apartment. I bought a house with my wife. We had one child and the second one on the way on Friday. We moved on Saturday. I had my birthday on Sunday and I joined Arthur on Monday and had no idea how I was going to pay the mortgage.
You've talked about linear TV. What is it? And tell us about the importance of linear TV in an increasingly digital world.
Well, linear is the last reach media that we have in the world today. So linear TV is really just traditional TV. It's ABC, NBC, CBS. It's the cable networks. But if you look at what's going on in digital video, if you look at what's going on even in the OTT space, every one of those channels, whether it's Hulu or any of them, they reach a very limited audience. And now there's a scramble by everybody in the broadcast businesses to launch their own OTT platform because they need to generate more impressions than they are currently able to deliver in the world today. So we don't really think of it as linear. We think of it as video, okay? And we've actually taken a significant initiative to integrate that within our organization. So we consider ourselves a best-in-class performance video agency.
Traditional media and even local media had a big year last year during the pandemic. It's somewhat all that's old is new again in a way. Is local media and marketing experiencing a comeback in your opinion?
I don't know if it's a comeback. I think that undervalued media always has an opportunity to resurface. And local media went through a really tough time. And I think it was constrained by the way local cable was sold. It was constrained by the way local broadcast is programmed. The need for impressions has really driven floodgates are open. We're looking for impressions wherever we can find them. And local media is now, the delta in pricing between local and national has shrunk significantly. So we're able to purchase it at the right price. And as a result, it's becoming a major part of almost every campaign that we manage.
Jumping back to your mention of OTT, which is also streaming video, is it all that it's really truly cranked up to be? And can it be effectively measured?
It will be. It will be. It has to be because consumer behaviors are changing. And I can tell you that my kids, I have 4 boys, my wife has 3 girls, they don't watch television, but they consume video at an extraordinary rate. So it's not that they don't want to consume video. It's just they want to be selective in it. And the way they do that is with the streaming services and by OTT. My son Sam doesn't watch ESPN, but he watches ESPN Go, right? And so it's going to be successful. The challenge is how that migration looks. And ultimately, I think the barrier between the two is going to go away.
how do you compete for the attention spans of most people when the average attention span now is something around 8 seconds?
I don't believe that. By the way, I think if people are interested in something, they will consume as much information about a topic of interest as they possibly can. So I think my sense is if David Ogilvy could talk to us today, he would tell us the biggest mistake that advertising has made is shortening the message and not delivering a complete communication to individuals. That is something that's proven every day in performance marketing. And so 15 seconds is a really hard unit length to effectively communicate a unique selling proposition. 30 seconds is less difficult. 60 seconds is easier. And 2 minutes is much easier. And by the way, you will see the response rates grow arithmetically as you move from 15 to 30 to 60 to 120. You're paying four times as much for the media with a 120, but you'll get 6 to 8, maybe 10 times the response rate that you will with a shorter length unit. It's actually 8 times more effective than a 60. So you can think about how ineffective a 30 and a 15 can be. So it's hard. You have to, the thing that's happened today because of e-commerce, right, and the sophisticated level of conversion that takes place in the digital world, in an e-commerce world, you have to look at the 15 and the 30 as attention getting and qualifying, and that's what they do. They drive qualified traffic to the e-commerce site, and then the site has to convert. So they need to have a compelling offer. They need to have an introductory offer. They need to have a really good understanding of what the back end looks like, what's the lifetime value of that customer, so that they don't make a mistake at the front end that drives them bankrupt.
How has the pandemic and the complete shift in marketing accelerated change in that space?
What happened in February and March of this past year, what I like to say, 5 years of consumer behavior evolution took place in 5 minutes. And any resistance that anyone ever had to shopping online, right, went away because it had to, right? Necessity demanded. If you're going to be responsible, you're going to have to do it this way. And that's not going to go back. But retailers will respond, and they will improve the store experience. They will improve the way that they interact with the consumer. They will make it a more meaningful experience, and they will survive. CVS, the major drug chains, are doing fantastically. We represent Burlington, and Burlington chose to focus purely on the retail space, and they've had a fantastic season. So it can be done, but it takes a commitment and a clarity of how you're going to go about it.
If there's one thing you could change about marketing or digital marketing or performance marketing, whatever you want to call it, what would that one thing be?
I want to tear down the silos. The whole business is the P&L, the infrastructure is all focused on silos. You've got your digital team, you've got your linear team, now you've got your OTT team. We don't know where to put them. You got your print team if you're doing any print, right? It's one channel, it's one consumer. And I really believe the marketer that wins and the agency that wins is the agency that absolutely rips down the silos and approaches it in a channel agnostic way that's most effective for the client.
Another question we like to ask is there one piece of advice, professional or personal, what's the best one you've ever been given?
Dick, never speak disparagingly of a client. If you allow yourself to speak disparagingly of a client or a colleague, that will permeate your behavior. That will affect your behavior over time, and something bad will come of it. So always be respectful, always be kind. And that has served me and I hope my team incredibly well. That's one of our laws.
Lastly, is there a book, a blog, or a podcast that you'd like to recommend and share with our viewers?
One is Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game. That's the recent book that I read that opened me up to a lot of ideas that I hadn't really considered before. And I don't know if you've read the book, but it's easy to read. It's like candy, it just flows. He's a great writer. But basically he basically said business is not finite, business is infinite. And you can't think in time frames. If you do that, you're really going to limit your success. Open your mind up, leave your preconceptions at the door, be self-aware, and think differently. Right. So he obviously he's much more articulate about it than I am. But, it's just really I had all of my executive team read that before we did our plans for this year. And in the end, we all decided we're not going to do a 1-year plan. We're going to do a 3 to 5 year plan because we didn't want to limit our thinking, in that way. So that was great. The other book, this is a really old book, and I'm in business because of it. And it's called Tested Advertising Methods. It was written by John Caples. And John Caples, whether you know it or not, he was kind of David Ogilvy's mentor. And he was one of the great direct marketing copywriters.
My guest today has been Dick Wechsler, founder and CEO of Lockard Wechsler Direct. Dick, thank you so much. This has been absolutely wonderful.
It was great. Thank you so much.